Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage coming to you with another adventure video. So we are going to drag out another old car. One of my favorite things to do other than build old cars is go find old cars. So my buddy Brooke, he owns a shop in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Brooks Hot Rods and Customs. He builds a lot of really neat stuff, really talented painter and body guy, and we are always sharing stories about cars that we're trying to find, buy and sell, everything like that. He gets into a lot of different deals and is always searching for stuff just like I am, and he came into an interesting deal where he found what was listed as a Lincoln originally, but it turns out it's an old Mercury. Looks like it's a 30 from the photos. Looks like it's a 3940 Mercury that is sitting in an old garage in New York. And the story goes that the gentleman that owns all of this stuff, he basically was the next door neighbor of this older gentleman who had all kinds of stuff on his property. It was sort of getting dilapidated, and later in life he was helping this gentleman just take care of things and really was just helping take care of him, being a good neighbor. And it turns out in the end, Marvin that was taking care of him, turns out that the neighbor ended up, he got power of attorney and was helping take care of his things when he was kind of sick and at the end of his life. And in the end, unknown to him, he ended up willing him everything he owned. So he did have to help take care of his last wishes, but also he gave him the property, which is really cool. And they didn't know it, but there was an old Corvette and there was this old Mercury in the garage that had not been moved in a really long time. Somebody else on Instagram bought the Corvette, and through, I don't know the whole deal, but basically through photos and connections, the connection was made and Brooke was able to get a chance to buy the car and go check it out. He is not an early Ford guy, although he has customized and chopped a lot of stuff. He is not like an avid nutso Ford guy, early Ford guy like me. He asked me if I wanted to come along and give him a hand with just checking the car out. He said that they mentioned there's a bunch of parts that are laying around that might be up for grabs that were with the Mercury and around the property, and he kind of said if I wanted to come along, if there wasn't any extra, if there was some extra parts that weren't for the car that he needed to kind of get the car back together, he said I might have a chance to buy them, which I'm looped in already. Old car in a garage, hasn't been touched in forever. Also, I can maybe buy some old parts that I can bring home. I'm sold, I'm in. Downside is, it's a 3 or 4 hour drive each way from where we're at all the way up to New York. So it's gonna be a long day. Right now it's about 4:30 a.m. Brooke should be here anytime. We're gonna jump in the truck. He has a really cool tow vehicle that I know you guys are gonna love. It's like a C20 or C30. I'm not into them real heavy, so you guys will correct me, but it's a square body, dually, old, kind of original, just tow pig. He's had it for years, and he tows all over the place. It's a big block, man. This thing gets like 3 miles to the gallon, so this is gonna be pretty funny going up there, stopping for gas every so often, but should be a fun trip. He should be here anytime. We're gonna kind of chronicle the trip, and hopefully the car is as clean as it looks in the photos, and I'm gonna take you guys along for the ride, so let's go. So this is our tow rig for the trip. Brooke's got a real cool old Chevy dually truck. Empty trailer, you know what that means. But this thing's super cool. Got a driving for a couple hours. We'll be there in another couple hours.
Arrived.
It's in that's gonna I want to back
dude,
up.
There's something in the yard. See it?
Yeah.
It looks like a Willys truck.
Look at all these. There's a shit ton of blocks outside. Oh, and I think there's a frame on it, like a 30s frame on a table right here. Look to the side of the shop.
Park over here. What do you think?
Yep, there's a frame sitting right there. All right, so here's the car. Basically, as we found it, the problem we're having is we need to drag it up this super steep hill Truck is over here, and it's two-wheel drive, so we're not going down here. And it's raining pretty good, and it's muddy, of course, typical. But you can tell cars haven't been through this driveway in many, many, many years. So we're gonna walk down here, check the car out.
It'll all work out pretty good. All right. It's funny. Good rain, miserable.
All right, so the interesting thing we found on this car, when we walked in, we thought this was a stock car. Something looks a little funny there. What's going on? You know, it's got a... For you guys that need some help, this probably looks a little funny too. That's the frame. Right there. So this car, it was started as an old custom. It's been channeled substantially, and we were wondering why it sat so well. This is it in the trunk area. We'll get a shot later, but you can see that huge step down there. That is the bottom of the car. And another interesting thing is it has these lever shocks here, and then also the tube shocks turned on their side, which is pretty crazy. So let's focus in there. Yeah, there we go. Yes, tube shocks turned on their side, and then we have these. Yeah, I don't think they're Ford. They look like some kind of GM or something. Lever shocks. But we got the drum broken free on both sides. Put some wheels on and see how the front are. Alright. Under the hood, there is not a Ford. It is a Chevy engine, small block. And you can see they cut the firewall out with the fire axe, and when they channeled this thing, they just rough cut it out to fit everything around, and it's pretty rough how it was cut. Even the inner fenders were all cut. Nothing's really been welded too much, it's just all been cut apart. There's even some writing on the firewall here still, but the firewall is pretty darn clean on this thing. Overall, the whole car was probably really, really clean when they started cutting this apart. This it's almost kind of a shame. It's neat that it was an old customized car, but they never finished it, so that's a little dismal, if you ask me. Looks like they had a starter switch hooked up here, and they were probably trying to crank the engine over at some point, I would imagine, but the intake is off of the engine. Who knows what happened there. into the basement here. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead.
He's past you. Oh boy, oh boy. Timber. Of course, I touched something, so now it's gonna. Well, it's gonna block our entrance. There we go. They were some good Craftsman tools.
So much stuff in here.
You have a full toolkit by the time you're.
Everything's gonna be a good tax sale in here.
Tag sale, yeah.
I got so much of that stuff. I don't need to keep.
Holding on to it, yeah. Wow. You need a helper kid, a young kid to come and just move the junk wood and glass and metal out.
Look at this little boat.
That was a boat. Carved it himself.
Oh, look at this thing.
Some kind of pipe.
Brand new thing.
It's new stuff. Just stuff everywhere. Cylinder heads all over the place. I have a light with me. I might turn it on in the back, because I can't see anything back there. I can see. Much better than my little flashlight had. There. Stand. Jesus. No wonder my feet were getting wet. Alright, so the idea is we don't want to get in this muddy hill, so we got a ratchet strap hooked up. And Brooks got his trailer almost stuck and jackknifed, but he's going to hook the strap up to it. Stay on the road so we don't get stuck in this kind of steep hill. And we're going to pull the car. I'm going to try and help him steer. We will see what happens. Hopefully nothing falls apart, breaks, gets stuck. Fingers crossed. Alright. Give it a go. See if it'll actually move. Some ratchet straps hooked up. Working on the fly. Get this tight. See if the car will budge. Yep. Yep. It'll move. All right. Go ahead. Hello. What was that? He's got it. so we just got back from pulling the Mercury home, and we didn't get to talk about the car a lot while we were there because the weather was not in our favor, and it pretty much started raining pretty hard when we got there, and kind of after a deal was made on the car, the rain kind of let loose, and we weren't able to do a lot of walking around checking the car out outside because we didn't want to wreck our camera with it getting wet. So tried to get as many shots as I could during, talked about the car a little bit, and we also have some shots that I got after the car is home with Brooke. Got some additional shots for you guys to hopefully kind of tell the story, but figured I'd kind of wrap it up with a little bit of information about the car that was pretty cool. So it looks like the car was channeled back in the day. We're not sure if it was the guy that owned it originally or if it was channeled when he got the car. Either way, somebody started with a really clean stock original car, and they cut the crap out of it with a torch. I mean, you can literally see where they rough cut it to fit everything in, and they gas welded, you know, some of these pieces in. The body is attached by some brackets, but it's done the old school way. I know in today's society, with social media, everybody's looking at weld porn and all the high-end welding, and everybody's tried to step up their game, myself included. And this car is reality of what guys were doing back in the 50s and 60s. It's cut with a gas torch. It's gas welded up. It's functional, but man, it is not pretty. But it sits really sweet. I think it has a really neat look. I could totally see this car out of the Little Pages in an old 50s, you know, Little Pages magazine. It's totally got that East Coast style. The car was in New York where we got the car, and I could totally see it being as one of those New York cars that was channeled super hard, lowered to the ground really hard, shaved, smoothed out, and just left just like that. So it's pretty cool. Hopefully the idea is Brooke's gonna go through the car, see what's there, kind of inventory. When we went to look at the car, he was hoping for a stock all original car that would be a good base to start on for building up. Now that it has this old customization, he has to kind of decide, does he want to keep the car? Does he want to sell the car and find something that's a little better? But he needs to kind of put the car together and kind of figure it out. If any of you guys might have some interest in the car, I could definitely help put you in contact with him about, you know, possibly selling the car. He hasn't decided yet, but figured I'd put it out there because you never know what he'll find when he starts digging into the car. My bounty for the trip, which is pretty cool. Didn't find anything I had to have, but as always, I dug around in the basement or, you know, wherever we go, I always dig around, I can find something. So a few things I found. Found an old Chevy truck grill, like a 40s truck grill, which is pretty cool. An original one that's in okay shape. Will be good to pass along to somebody that needs for a survivor car. Got an old 36 Ford grill that is pretty rough. It's a wall hanger at this point. It's been blasted and cleaned, but a lot of the bars are broken and kind of tied together. So this, I'll probably just hang on the wall unless somebody I know ends up needing some bars or pieces to fix theirs. But I had to save it out of that wet basement because it probably was going to get junked if I didn't, because not many guys are going to want a broken grill. I've got these really cool old shock boxes that actually the guy, gentleman who had owned all this stuff originally, he had pulled the new shocks out, put them on a car, put the old shocks in these boxes, and they are super cool. They have cool little race car on them with some really great graphics. They're old cardboard boxes, but you know what? They are neat to save. Again, they were going to get thrown in the trash. You know, they're, Marvin took ownership of the property and all the contents. He is going to be throwing a lot of the stuff away because, frankly, it is junk. It's overwhelming. He's going to try and pass on the car parts, the tools, the things that are definitely resellable, but things like old cardboard boxes doesn't have a lot of value to most people, and as soon as you start moving them around, they get damaged. So I saved 3 of them. One of these boxes we're going to give to the first person that comments in this video. I'm going to give you guys, like we do in a lot of these videos where we go picking, I'm going to give away one of these really cool boxes. So first person to drop a comment down below that you want these boxes, just drop us a comment. I will ship one out to you for free. So those are cool. Got a really neat old Volkswagen dealer tag plates around. These are really collectible. The Volkswagen guys in my younger years, I messed with a lot of early water-cooled and old air-cooled Volkswagen stuff, so I grew up messing with those quite a bit. While my dad was messing with Ford stuff, I tinkered for quite a while on old Volkswagen. So I know that these are collectible, especially with the air-cooled guys. So I saved that. That was hanging on the wall. Got a couple old Stuart Warner gauges. Got an old Golf oil can, a Ford horn rod and tube, just because. And probably the coolest thing I got right at the end, I found on one of the workbenches, is a set of Chrysler 331 Hemi heads. They were all gone through and I think built up to put on an engine. They got fresh valves, valve springs. Everything's all kind of gone through on it. It looks like it was brand new set of, reconditioned heads, and they never went on an engine. Now they were covered in trash bags. One of them, the trash bag did rip a little bit, so it was sitting on a sort of damp workbench, so I need to go with some Scotch-Brite and try and clean that off with some Croyle and Scotch-Brite. I think it's not too bad, but I should be able to clean them up, and I'll be passing those along as well to help just pay for food and travel and stuff for shooting this video. It'll just be something I'll pass along, help pay for some of the things I need, and get you guys some of these parts that might be scrapped or thrown away. So that's all I have for this one. Really fun little trip. Hopefully you guys enjoy these videos in between all of the building of cars. This is kind of the other half of my life of this madness that is IronTrap Garage, is chasing old cars, and whether it's something I'm buying or something in this case that a friend was buying, I think it's fun to show this stuff that would be otherwise just forgotten or never seen. What it takes to dig some of these cars out. It's really been fun. As always, we do videos on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. If you like the video, definitely give it a share. Drop us a comment down below with what you think of the car and what you think should be done with this old Mercury. And definitely, if you haven't, subscribe. Thank you guys. Catch you later.